Hey, what's happening? Cincinnati Soccer Talkers, episode 62, coming at you live here on Facebook and YouTube. We have an action-packed show for you this week. Lots to discuss. Of course, we know all the news surrounding FC Cincinnati, unfortunately. I'm sure we will be touching on that topic tonight, which has to do with our star striker, GB. Of course, a big week last week for FC Cincinnati. Very tough slate of games, and they come out with a couple of draws against two really good sides in Eastern Conference. We'll talk about that. And, of course, we're joined by a special guest tonight, the one and only Rose Lavelle of the Boston Breakers and the U.S. Women's National Team. Of course, you know Rose. She's a Queen City native, and we're looking forward to getting her thoughts on getting the call up to the national team and, of course, how closely she's been paying attention to FC Cincinnati. This episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, though, is brought to you by the Cincinnati Dutch Lions. Learn more about the Dutch Lions at cdlfc.com. And mark your calendars. They'll be beginning their season at home on May 21st. They will also face off against FC Cincinnati's reserves on July 16th. So for more information, log on to cdlfc.com. Of course, you can get in touch with us, as always, on the King's Hammer hotline, 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. We're also taking comments on Facebook and YouTube. And, of course, you can always tweet us at Cincy Soccer Talk. So, as I mentioned, we've got a lot to get to this week. I'm pleased to be joined by my main man, the Wolf Man, Bill Wolf. Bill, how's it going, buddy?
It's going great. I had a great tiring last weekend. King's Hammer had their Blue Chip Showcase last weekend for the women and next weekend's for the men. So, no rest for the weary, but 3 days of soccer nonstop, 13 fields out there. It's a blast, but tiring, long days.
Not to mention all the drumming in the Bailey. You did a good job, as always.
Thank you. I was actually a little worn out on Saturday, I have to be honest. I know the team was also tired after their third game in 8 days, but I could actually sympathize a little bit with them. So,
well, it's good to have you back. Looking forward to getting your take on all things FCC. Of course, glad to also have back the one and only Brian Weigel. Brian, welcome.
What's going on, everybody? Had a fun week, and I'm been accosted several times by people saying the reason why we tie is because I didn't paint up. So I'm not digging it. So, but we'll see how it plays out.
You set the precedent. I mean, they scored 4 goals.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get too tied up here. Maybe it's showing up by myself. Maybe it's bringing friends to the game. We'll see. But we got to change the mojo up going here. I got drunk and exchanged my Dienenstadt scarf with a whatever they call themselves, a Cooper scarf. So probably wasn't my smartest idea ever done. But
I actually saw you doing that and was like, is he aware of what he's doing?
Oh, no. So we ran into several of the coaching staff after the match at Mecklenburg's, and Coach Starr completely stopped mid-sentence and goes, "Huh, what scarf are you wearing there, bud?" I'm like, oh my God, no. Oh my God.
Whoops. So, I saw you doing that when we were recording
I
the
whipped
fan
that
cams.
sucker off fast. Yosef was dying.
I'm sure he was. Well, glad to have you back. And
right.
of course, also glad to have back Griffin. Griffin, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Subes, what's going on, man? Got pretty spoiled with 3 games in 8 days at home. And let me tell you, we could definitely feel your presence, Subes. We could definitely feel your presence. Yeah, we didn't cross paths. I'll tell you, unfortunately, you and I did not cross paths, but I could definitely feel that you were there.
It was like the Force.
Yeah. I could feel it.
A disturbance in Nippert.
There's no Griffin in the Bailey.
Yeah, we got to get Griff out there sometime.
Yeah, I might have to make a trip over to the Bailey.
If my 8-year-old twins can do it, Griff, you could do it.
I'm all about the section 122. I like that midfield view, the top row, get to sit against the concrete, lean back a little bit with the fam. So I might have to experience the Bailey. I think I'd like it.
I think you would. It was good. We got to make it happen, though. We've got to cross paths at some point this season.
For sure.
Yeah, I finally got a chance to meet Ken. So that was cool at Mex before the game. My kids definitely felt out of place at Mecklenburg Gardens, walking around, and they were just more concerned about getting a Sprite. So I had to make sure that happened. Waited in line at Mex for that. And then, Bri, you did a very kind gesture. You got them some Dienenstadt scarves. They adored them, so thank you for that.
We got to start them off right, Get that supporters culture started early.
Well, should we talk about the games? Which one do you want to start with? You want to start with the Tampa game, or you want to start with Louisville, guys? Maybe we should start with Louisville because there's a lot more talking points in that game, I think. Yeah. So the game.
A lot to forget in both.
Yeah, let's start there. Finished 1-1, and Brian and I, we kind of talked about this in the Bailey as as stoppage time was kind of winding down. We looked at each other and said, "This is actually a pretty good week when you consider all the extenuating circumstances, the red cards, the 3 games in 8 days, and the opponents that FC Cincinnati played." So I'll let you say what you said, Brian, because I thought it was a really valid point. If you remember what you said, because you did exchange scarves with a Louisville fan after this. But
well, I mean, I hope I get it right. I also did have too many blood orange IPAs that night, but yeah, I think if you can look at the level of opponent we had in 3 games in 8 days, I think all of us would have taken 5 points. The week prior after that horrible showing with Bethlehem. So, I mean, just to come out of there with that mindset, getting, I would say the season kind of turned around, getting some good momentum. Really, I think that'll spread the team going forward.
Yeah, I think it's also important to realize the fact that, last year we had a good record. We came in 3rd, but it seemed like every time we played a team in the top quarter or so of the table, we struggled. We couldn't beat those teams. We lost a lot of the time. So, to get 5 points out of 3 of the top 4 teams, that's actually an improvement over last year. Our expectations are higher, but I think we could actually say we improved.
Plus, I think we should have got another point because of the awesome poop emojis, whoever threw them over in the Louisville section. I think we should at least get a point for that. I don't know about you, Griff.
That backfired a little bit.
Wasn't that your doing?
Oh no, I can't throw that far from 122.
that was pretty funny to see the poop emojis there. Not gonna lie, I did chuckle at that. The game though itself, let's talk about the first goal. And really, if you think about it, both goals given up this week by FC Cincinnati were really well taken goals. I mean, I don't know if there's much more. I'll ask our resident goalkeeper here, Griffin. I don't know if there's much more Mitch could have done this week on both of those goals given up by FC Cincinnati.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they both touch the post as they went in? I mean,
pretty close.
Not sure on the first one.
They were perfectly placed shots. So, yes. I mean, at first look, at the Tampa match, at first look, the timing looked a little weird, but if you went back and looked at the shot, that was such a knuckleball. It curved so much that I don't even think Neuer could have blocked that.
I'm in agreement there.
Well struck.
Yeah, it was a really well, yeah. And so they get down 1-0. And what we saw in that Louisville game, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this too, Bill. It felt like the team pressing maybe is not the right word, but I felt like they were almost trying to do a little too much against Louisville, knowing it was a big game, big atmosphere, blackout. You got Aiden Quinn playing against his old team. It just felt like maybe some of the guys were doing a little too much and just weren't keeping it simple until, after about the 25th minute, and then it kind of settled into the game and started moving the ball like we know they can.
Yeah, I think it felt a little forced. I don't know how much of that was the pressure of it being the Louisville home game. I know that when the fans get really energized about a game, the team does too. It's not like they're separate from us. I mean, they feel what we feel. They understand that they're putting on a show for us, and we're part of it and they're part of it, and somehow it's all tied together. So if we want to win, they want to win. That extra bit as well. So it felt a little forced. I don't know how much of that was that, but there's also the whole 8 games or 8 days, 3 games. It's it just felt maybe like they were really trying to maybe even come out and get something quick because they knew they were going to be tired. Louisville didn't have that disadvantage, and obviously, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, how much of that is us being tired, plus Coach O'Connor, they press their attackers high into our defense when we possess the ball deep, but also his back four were pretty well maintained, a pretty good line all match. I mean, they moved Tarok, I can't remember his full name, who's been playing center back. They moved him to their left back position and almost had him stay home almost the entire match. That's something that they haven't traditionally done. So I want to give them credit there. But also the one thing that FC Cincinnati that they didn't do that they did a lot better versus maybe a Tampa and especially St. Louis, they dribbled the ball a lot better. They possessed the ball a lot better as opposed to trying to string together a lot further passes that they tried versus Louisville. I mean, you see it in the entire game, even in the first 15 seconds of the Louisville match. I want to say it's a long ball by either Boehner or Delbridge to Gibby that just trickles almost out of bounds. He at least keeps it close into the corner, but it's something that just really couldn't get it going.
But with that said, I thought they worked themselves back into the game. They made some changes in the second half, and I remember because I was sitting in the Bailey a couple rows behind you, Bri. When they made the change, they took Pollock off, and they brought on Wiedemann and Fordyce. And you kind of gave this, what kind of reaction, like, what is happening? They were playing three at the back. Explain your reaction, because I thought it was pretty spot on.
Mm-hmm. Well, you definitely had a 3-5-2 with maybe a Fordyce pinched a little bit behind, but just the fact that we tried to throw numbers and tried to make adjustments early on. This is a formation we've seen, but I just want to give Coach props that he made a positive move with a lot of time to get that momentum going, and it worked out. I think Boehner, to me, was probably the man of the match. He was voted the man of the match. He played right, he played left, he played in the center of that, and he really got a lot of play moving forward. And when you can do that, especially have a three-man back line, I think it can only mean good things if we have to chase a match.
They got the goal from Quinn late in the match. It was about the 75th minute. And then, so you're thinking, all right, the momentum is clearly on FC Cincinnati's side. They're going to keep pushing forward, keep getting numbers forward, and they're going to get that winning goal. And then the red card happens. I don't want to talk about the extracurriculars just yet because I'm sure we'll touch on it a little bit later on in the program. But let's talk about the red card itself. Bill, when you first saw the play, did you think red card all the way, or did you think maybe that was a harsh call?
In the Bailey, angles are pretty tight and tough, especially when it's on the other side of the field. It seemed pretty harsh from that side. I did go back and look at the replay later. And at that point, you could kind of see where the ref saw something. But I think part of the issue is just, trying to get a sense of where the game was at that point. And I think the ref just really let the game get out of control, and it was getting to the point where it was very, very chippy and very, very physical. And then just suddenly, pick one play and throw a red card seemed a little extreme.
I was pissed. Yeah, I was really pissed. You know how we put that, what's it on our 5 things to know your enemy? That's becoming true with our refs every week. And I think, I pride Cincinnatians on being tough and blue collar, but Kyle Smith, you went over like a little baby, honestly. I mean, you got tackled, the guy hit your left leg, and you grabbed your right knee. So I was a little PO'd by that. I'm not sure it's a red card. I know there's some people out there that swear it's a red card. Yeah, he went in hard. Yeah, it was a little reckless. Kyle Smith sold it. I will get into everything else with Gibby there. But, man, I'm just USL refs need to be a little bit better across the board. And I said we'll dig into it later, but I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Brian, maybe we should change that section to know your friend this week and see what happens.
Oh, you got to see what I got planned, boy.
Yeah, when I saw the original tackle live from the Bailey, I don't know. It didn't seem like it was all that bad. And then you see the replay, and you see, yeah, he went in with 2 feet, but it's not like it was, I don't know. I get it. He lost the ball, and he was, trying to to get it back, and you could tell he went into the tackle with a little more oomph than maybe he wanted to. But that's just weird because we went all last year, and yes, I know Mitch got a red card, but it was rescinded, so I really don't count that as a red card. But here we are, 2 home games in a row now. We've got 2 red cards. It's just, I don't know. I don't like the trend that we're seeing here. So hopefully Coach Koch can get that corrected, and hopefully we won't be missing Jibby for many more games. Although I think that we'll save that.
I think we need something to cheer us up here.
Yeah, I think that's
agree.
a good call. Love to get your thoughts though on the card situation and the game. We'll open up the phone lines a little bit later on 513-399-KICK. But we are very excited now. Joining us on the King's Hammer hotline is the one and only Rose Lavelle. Rose, thanks for joining us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I'm just really excited to have somebody from the right side of the GCL. I'm sick and tired of dealing with these guys from LaSalle and St. X, so it's good to have a Mountie here on the program with us. As a Moeller guy, I really like that, Rose. So welcome. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's talk about everything that's going on. Number 1 overall pick by the Boston Breakers. You're fresh out of college. You get the call. I mean, you got a lot going on, Rose.
Yeah, it's been a hectic couple months, but now the season's starting up, and it's time to get focused on that. And it's been fun so far, but yeah, there's a lot ahead, so I have to stay focused.
So Rose, I think it's been as what Nick said. It's been a whirlwind. You've been in 4 U.S. women's national team games recently. You scored a goal. You've also probably pulled the best. I want to call it a trick move or whatever, but the back heel nutmeg play. I want to say that was versus Russia. What was going through your mind when you did that play? Because it was extraordinary.
Honestly, I don't really know. I don't know what was going through my head. I don't really even have an answer. I saw Mal open and was hoping to get a quick pass off, and I think that was the quickest way I could do it. So I tried, and thankfully it was pulled off, but could have gone a lot of other ways too.
Who taught you that move? Was it a teammate? Was it a coach? Was it your parents? How'd you get confident enough to pull that off?
No, honestly, funny enough, when I was growing up, I watched a lot of the women's national team games, and I saw Rapinoe do it once, and then I remember trying it in high school, and have kind of been working on it and doing it in games and practice since then.
She text you at all, or does she know that you learned that from her?
No, I don't think she does.
we might have to get that to happen.
So Rose, you've played it at a younger age for the national team, but it must be really special, to get to the full national team and suit up, for the red, white, and blue. I mean, what did it feel like that first game when you actually put on the jersey and went out on the field?
It's really surreal. I mean, even when I was playing for the youth game or with the youth teams, it was such an honor, and getting a chance to play for the full team, it's obviously something I've always dreamt to do. So to see that actually come to fruition and something that, I feel like I have just always been dreaming about and hoping would happen, and for it to actually happen just seems so surreal, and it was exciting.
Well, I got to ask, because
now, Rose,
we got this question today on Instagram from a good friend of ours. His name is Jono. He wants to know what it was like getting the call up for the full national team, and what did you do when you hung the phone up?
It was actually, it was my junior year of college. We were at Penn State about to play a game the next day, and Joe actually called my college coach to tell her, and then Paula, my college coach, relayed the message to me, and I kind of just went blank face. I really couldn't believe it, and I immediately was so nervous and kind of had to calm down. But again, just really surreal and such an honor. Obviously, something I've been dreaming about. So I was a little shocked. I didn't know it would come that early. I thought I would probably be out of college before I got called in, but it was really cool to be able to experience that my junior year.
Rose, what's your favorite memory as a professional on your short professional career or on the women's national team?
Well, I've only had 2 games so far for Boston, so I guess I would say between those 2 games, the one that I won is my favorite. And then with the national team, I don't know. I mean, my first cap was really exciting. We were playing in front of a huge crowd, and the result didn't go our way. We ended up losing to England 1-0, but I think just to play in front of that crowd and to live out a moment I feel like I've been dreaming about and waiting for so long was really cool and exciting, and my family got to be there, so for them to be able to watch that live was also really exciting too.
So, Rose, when you joined Boston, I mean, you had to be sort of aware of, how the team was as far as, their record. They've definitely struggled in the last couple of years. They have not been real successful as far as making the playoffs. So recently, you guys started off the season pretty well, 1-1. There's a lot of people talking about, Boston's looking really good this year. And you're getting a lot of credit for that. So, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I think all of us on the team going into this year, we knew it was a very different team. He made a lot of trades in the off season, picked up a lot of different players, so we knew that we had a chance to kind of make this season something different than what it was last year, and kind of put Boston back on the map. And that's been our goal during preseason, and kind of been what we've been thinking about each game, is taking it one game at a time, learn what we can from that game, and move on to the next. And it's really been a team effort. I think that Sunday game.
Think you're going to the playoffs this year?
Just fighting on the field, defending all over. Huh?
So do you think you're going to go to the playoffs this year? Do you think you're going to make it to the playoffs this year?
It's only 2 games in, but I don't think it's out of the question.
Now, Rose, to get on a lighter note here, the one thing, if people go on your social media, Twitter, Facebook, even on the different videos that U.S. Soccer, Boston Breakers put up, they see a common thing. It's your puppy Wilma. Give us a little bit why you love dogs so much. I saw a picture. I don't know whether it caught awesome or how Wilma took it, but does she still like wearing those rain boots you put on her?
Oh my gosh, she hated them, but she was so cute in them, so we couldn't resist. Yeah, she's awesome. I love dogs, and how can you not? They're the greatest things ever. But yeah, she's great. She actually got to come up to Boston this weekend with my parents, so I got to see her, and I missed her so much. I hadn't seen her in so long, but she's the greatest.
Oh, you can't keep her up in Boston with you?
No, I wish. I think she would miss all her friends in Cincinnati.
When's the last time you were home, Rose? Back in Cincy?
Last time I was in Cincinnati was mid-January about. Yeah, mid-January.
What do you miss the most when you're not here?
I mean, I miss everything. All my family's back there. So I obviously miss them, my mom and dad, and I have a huge family. So my aunts, uncles, cousins. I always miss all the family gatherings there, and then Skyline, Graders, Savior games. There's a lot to miss.
Yes.
Cincinnati's the greatest. It's an awesome city. I brag about it everywhere I go.
Rose is my best friend now. She's a Xavier fan. I saw some of those pictures. How did it feel? You're a big Xavier fan, and they lost to Wisconsin a couple years ago in the NCAA tournament.
Oh my gosh, I took a lot of heat for cheering for Xavier that game, but I really could not find it in my heart to root against them at all. It was not even a question in my mind who I was cheering for. So, I mean, that was probably one of the most heartbreaking losses of my life. It's not so dramatic,
me
but I was
too.
so upset because I knew I was going to have to go back to Wisconsin, listen to everybody trash talk me.
Well, speaking of basketball, I saw recently that you were very excited this year because you could finally fill out an NCAA bracket. And I guess, as being somebody who's a fan of the sport, you really don't understand the different rules and regulations with the NCAA, and something as minor as filling out a bracket could really get you into trouble. And so you were really excited that you could finally do that this year. I never really thought about it that way.
Well, yeah, March Madness is one of my favorite times of the year. I always loved filling out a bracket, and I haven't been able to the past 5 years. I mean, I can, but I couldn't bet any money on it. So this year I went nuts, and I was doing really good. I had Xavier winning the whole thing, and I soared to the top when they made it to the Elite Eight. But then once they lost, I kind of dropped to the very bottom of every bracket I was in.
I love your passion about Xavier. That's awesome.
Rose, you obviously are very proud of your city.
Yeah,
Now, I need you to make us a promise, okay?
Okay, let's hear it.
When and if FC Cincinnati form a women's club, you have to sign for them, okay?
No
When
pressure.
it happens.
No
Yeah, no
pressure there,
pressure.
Rose.
Now, Rose, Brian here again. I feel like I saw a picture of you attending the FCC friendly versus Crystal Palace. 30,000, 35,000 fans. My question to you is, how excited are you going to be when the women's national team play a game here in Nippert and there's 35,000 fans chanting Rose? Is there any way you can put a good word in for Cincinnati to get a game here so we can see you live?
Am I back on right now?
Yeah, we must have dropped you, Rose. We got you back now.
Yeah.
That explains
I
why
lost it
Griff
for a second.
didn't get an answer to his question. So, Griff, why don't we back up? And, Griff, you can re-ask your question. It didn't show you were gone, but then when you called back in, I said, oh, we must have lost Rose. So, Griff, why don't you ask her the question
Yeah,
you
I don't
just
know what
asked?
happened there.
Yeah, Rose, we can definitely tell you're very proud of Cincinnati. I was just trying to see if you could promise that if and when FC Cincinnati form a women's club, that you would be the first and marquee signing for the club. Can you promise us that?
I don't know if I can promise it, but I would love nothing more than that. So I can tell you that much. If there's a Cincinnati team, I would love nothing more than to represent the city.
Well, I saw on social media that you looked like you had the opportunity to go to the FC Cincinnati friendly versus Crystal Palace. Saw 35,000 fans there. So what are your emotions going to be when 35,000 fans pack Nippert to see a U.S. women's national team game with you starting? Is that a dream that you have?
I mean, I would love to play in front of Cincinnati. Like I said before, I have so many family members back there, so I think to play somewhere close and where they can see me, that would be fun. And then, I mean, just playing in front of the city I've grown up in and loved so much. I mean, that would be a dream. I would be so happy.
Well, we need you is kind of what Griff was trying to get you to promise. We need you to put in a good word. I know you're a star out there now, so you have the little sway trying to get us a game here.
I don't know. We'll see what I can do.
All right.
You mentioned, Rose, that you're very proud of the city and you brag about it to all your friends up there in Boston and everywhere you go. So I got to ask, because obviously you're around a lot of Revs fans. Do you brag that FC Cincinnati gets more fans than Revs do at their games?
Ooh.
I have bragged about FC Cincinnati before. Everyone's really impressed. I'm like, yeah, we just got this USL team, and they're getting 15 to 20,000 fans a game, and everyone's like, wow, really? I'm like, yeah, it's sick. But I honestly haven't run into many Reps fans yet. So, but once I do, they're never going to hear the end of it.
I like it. I like it.
Well, now I know it's still a little bit soon, but do you have any plans to be traveling with the U.S. national team in their June friendlies, or when would you find that out?
What's the date right now? We'll probably find out the roster in the next couple of weeks, I would assume.
Yeah. We hope to see you. I know that those are some interesting places to be traveling to.
Yeah, I think the U.S. doesn't generally go overseas to play games. They play a lot of home games, so it'd be exciting to be a part of those two games versus Sweden and Norway.
What's the furthest you've had to travel to play a match?
I've been to a lot of places in Europe, but never really beyond that. So probably somewhere in Europe. I've gone to Sweden and Norway both, Croatia, Spain, so somewhere in there. I don't think I've ever had a flight longer than 9 hours, which I consider myself lucky.
Yeah, no kidding. That's still pretty far. Well, Rose, we know you're busy. We'll get you out of here with this question. This is a question we've asked guys like Mitch Hildebrandt, Andrew Wiedemann, Coach Koch from FC Cincinnati. We always ask them about Skyline, and they always kind of give us this, I don't know if I should try it kind of deal. And then Andrew Wiedemann a few weeks ago said he wasn't a fan. So you mentioned it a minute ago. So what's your go-to order if you come home and you get a chance to go to Skyline? Like, what is the Rose Lavelle special?
Well, it's always the first thing I get when I come back home. My parents always have it ready for me the night when I get back. So I usually get 3 to 4 cheese conies.
Dang!
With, yeah, and I devour them.
Are you a mustard and onions girl, or do you just get the chili?
I just get the chili and cheese. I stay simple.
All right. Hey, it's more. At least you're getting the chili. I can't get my kids to try the chili.
Oh my gosh, you gotta force them. It'll change your life.
Well, I'm already forcing them to play soccer. There's only so much forcing a parent can do, Rose. No, but we're glad that we wish you nothing but continued success with the Breakers, with the national team. We're always going to be rooting for you in the Queen City, and hopefully, when you get a break, if you get a break sometime this summer, we'll catch you at an FC Cincinnati game this summer, Rose.
Yeah, I would love that. Thanks so much for having me, you guys.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk again soon, Rose. See ya.
Bye.
That's Rose Lavelle joining us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Good hearing from her. I really enjoyed that interview with Rose. She's a very, very good soccer player, up and coming with the U.S. national team. So continue. We wish her nothing but the best because she is certainly a rising star in the women's game. All right, we've got phone lines open. Boston's waiting to take your call. 513-399-KICK. 513-399-KICK. Because we're going to talk about biting. Never thought we would, but we're going to talk about it. And we want your thoughts, so please give us a ring, 513-399-KICK. Where do we begin? I can't ever, in my mind, think that I would ever be discussing this regarding FC Cincinnati just 1 year into its existence. I don't even know where to start. I still personally haven't seen the evidence that everybody's been tweeting out, putting out on social media. Maybe it's because I'm blind. Even Griff circled it for me on the photo, and I still don't see this supposed bite mark. Oh, I mean, where do we go? Where do we begin, guys? I honestly have no idea how to even broach this subject.
It's not there, Subes. It's not there. It's just a patchy beard and a place on his face. I mean, I don't even have the fullest beard of all men, but McCabe has a patchy beard, and they circled and pointed out a spot that they thought GB's teeth might have shaved his face without breaking skin.
Well, Bill, you ready to set the situation here, my man?
Sure.
All right. So Bill and I have gone into length about this. We think I want to say conspiracy is the right word here, but it's crap. I'm sorry if there's parents in the car. I think if you really look at the entire match, let me pull up my notes here because I made notes watching this game. There was an instance, I think in the 73rd minute, where Gibby, he got in a little tussle with the goalkeeper, but three Louisville City guys swarmed him. Anytime an FC Cincinnati player committed a foul, a Louisville City guy was in their grill. I think that there was an instance here where Louisville City pressed FC Cincinnati to make a boneheaded mental mistake. Now, in terms of the biting, there's no proof out there. Yeah, did McCabe push GB away when GB got up in his grill? Absolutely. But it's, because GB's trying to be a leader. He's trying to say, we don't put up with this grief of you guys flopping and getting into our, I think he was trying to make a statement there. Yeah, of course he got the red, but, I'm not sold that there's an instance that he bit him. Furthermore, I think, Bill, you can maybe touch on this, which Coach Connor's reaction in the media press conference.
I mean, there's so many things to talk about on this, Brian. I mean, first off, I mean, like you said, the reaction on the field, there wasn't enough there. I mean, if somebody bit me, I don't know that I'm just going to be like, oh, hey, he bit me, I mean, there's going to be some serious discussion going on. And it seemed to me like it never really escalated. I mean, he should have been running to the referee and saying, look at this. And there really wasn't anything that happened there. And then social media, like, Subes was talking about, you can see a spot on his beard where there's no hair or whatever that they're claiming as teeth marks. And, if you actually look at like pictures where he walked up, they have, blown up pictures where, GB's face is up against McCabe's face or whatever. It's like, it's not the right angle. I mean, he was basically talking in his ear. I mean, if they'd said he bit his earlobe or something, I might've bought that, but it's too low. And then Connors to come out and say that on social media, it's really unprofessional.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron, that stuff in that type of form, I don't think is the right way. You're just whining. You're trying to make something that's necessarily not there. When Luis Suarez bit a dude, everybody saw it. You don't notice anything when GB's. Yeah, some people might say, "Oh, it could have happened." It wasn't obvious. There isn't. I have not seen substantial evidence yet, and it's almost grandstanding, trying to blatantly hurt FC Cincinnati. I think there's something behind trying to penalize FC Cincinnati. Because, USL might look at this and just go, well, GB got into this situation. Let's just at least suspend him for X amount of games when, I mean, it's like court of law. There needs to be proof that this happened for them to levy a potential fine. I mean, a huge fine for this. Okay, give him the one game for the red card is what it is. But to go out and just, have your Louisville Courier write crap stories about no biting people, it's bull.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is like Shoegate, right? I mean, last year it was July or something when they came and they were claiming that their shoes were melting and their feet were blistered. And I mean, come on, guys, just play some soccer. I mean,
Bill, and they were saying like they're not guilty of anything, and you see that, I don't know if you saw in the 90th minute where McCabe literally took a karate kick at Mitch, and the ref didn't do anything. The ref didn't do anything all game when they were getting into our players' faces. The ref didn't do anything when McCabe got into GB's face. The ref didn't do anything when McCabe took a swipe at Mitch. I think there's so many things here that could have been controlled if there was a quality USL ref. And this has been all season long, even last year. I mean, what's going to happen is, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're just losing. The refs are just losing the game. Letting people play too physical, and I don't know. I mean, it's a joke to the league.
Yeah, there's no doubt that they lost control of this game. I mean, aside from whether it was a red, aside from whether he bit, I mean, just purely the game itself was losing control. And if you watch the aftermath of that tackle, right, GB goes in. The player's down on the ground. He's obviously dying. And then, all of a sudden, GB is surrounded by 4 white shirts. He's getting 2-hand pushes in the back. He's got 4 mouths talking smack at him, and the referee's doing nothing. Well, what does he expect? GB's just going to walk away and hunker his shoulders down and just go,
Yeah,
it's all right. I mean, he's going to get in somebody's face and say, back off,
Sorry for going on a rant there, everybody.
I'm wondering if the ref didn't do anything because he had already done something. He'd already red carded him. What more is the ref going to do?
You have to control. It's even before the red card. I mean, you have to control the whole situation.
Yeah,
if people think they
with.
can just get up and people's grill.
Yeah. Rule of thumb number 1 for a referee is when something happens, you put yourself between the players. You step right into this space where it's happening, because the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to start to get retaliatory, pushes, shoving, kicks, whatever. You get in the middle of it, and he threw a red card up and walked away basically, and then just let Louisville have it. GB.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that the ref needed to do more. I'm just saying at that point, he's already sent the player off, and he's just waiting for GB to leave the field quickly. And it didn't happen. And you're right. He probably should have gone over it and stepped in. So it didn't happen. I just am shocked. I never thought I would ever utter the words "bite" and FC Cincinnati player here on this podcast. But
yeah, anyway. I pride Bill and I normally for keeping our level heads. And if we're pissed about this, I think there's something behind it.
Well, let's go to the King's Hammer hotline. Let's chat with let's go with Olivia. Olivia, she joins us now here on the program. Welcome, Olivia. Welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk.
Hello. I think that my question today is: do you guys see a pattern happening? Because we've had these 3 straight reds within 6 games, and this never happened last season. And do we think that this is a pattern that's going to keep happening throughout the season, or what do you guys think about that?
I hope not.
Well, I think you have a lot of guys trying to fight for positions on the field, and I think you're seeing an intensity that might not have been there top to bottom on the roster, fighting for to always get the ball, to make sure you're putting your best foot out there. And sometimes things happen. I think I might disagree with all 3 red cards to some extent this season. I'm not sure that it's a negative thing that our guys care and fight for the ball. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, hard to argue with the Nicholson red. I mean, he was the last defender. It was clumsy.
Well, I think that was a triple penalty that they're trying to phase out of the game. So I don't know.
Right. To be honest, Olivia, I'd completely forgotten about the Nicholson red because of the week we had. So when you brought up 3, I was sitting there doing the math. Like, when did the other red card happen? And oh yeah, Nicholson. Forgot about it. Yeah. I hope it's not a trend.
Yeah, I mean, it is concerning. There's no doubt, and it certainly makes it tough for us to build a consistent roster when people are coming in and out like that. Liam on Facebook was just commenting that none of these really were similar. So all 3 of them were very different, and that's a positive. It's not like there's a trend that we're doing something just wrong. But I think my take on it a little bit is that last year we had a team that was very technical. We played a possession game, and teams just came in and just pushed us around, because that's the easiest way to disrupt a technical team. I mean, you just bump them, you knock them around. Mm-hmm. They can't possess the ball. And we didn't have an answer to that. And we added in some big players. We added in some speed. We added in some height, some physicality. We've got some big guys on the team now, and they're not going to get pushed around like we did last year. But unfortunately, it seems like we've tipped too far, right? I mean, I think we said, hey, we got pushed around. Let's not get pushed around this year. And instead of going for let's be physical, we've kind of maybe gotten a little bit towards reckless. Some of these fouls, Kadeem, I mean, you could justify it all day long. He was looking at the ball, he gave a bad touch. He went in to kick it. The other player ran into his foot. The reality is that his foot was up at, let's say stomach level. It might've been a little lower than that. And it made contact, right? And at some level that would be considered reckless. And like Brian said, it's hard to argue some of these red cards. They've happened, and the players are working hard to prove that they should be on the pitch. They're matching physical with physical, and maybe going a little too far at times, or pushing a little too hard to get their time on the field.
I think the Nicholson card was the outlier here. To me, I think the Vic and GB red card were I think they are very similar in that they were both trying to extend the play late in the game with a great desire, to win. I think I would be a little concerned if we didn't see our squad out there, hustling at the end of the game to get that match winner. I think both of these cards were just maybe too much effort on their part. So to me, the mentality is there, but maybe the execution is not. So um, it is bad, but they definitely have the desire to win.
Good question,
Agree.
Olivia. We appreciate the call. Don't be a stranger, okay, Olivia?
Absolutely.
Thanks for calling. All right, let's go to Yursky. Our main man Yursky. What's happening? Yursky, when you call in, is your face painted?
It is not.
Oh, bummer.
It takes about 45 minutes. It takes about 45 minutes usually to do it. So,
Well, actually,
and
if
I
you
have
would have
to work
started when the
tomorrow,
show started at 8:00, you'd be finished by now.
yeah, I would be. but
Yursky,
then
do you
it
have a
takes
Louisville
long to get it
Coopers
off.
scarf on your wall?
I do not.
Okay, just checking.
What's on
One
your
up
mind,
on me.
Yursky?
Yep. Okay, so I was initially calling in. There's two things I kind of want to talk about. I want to talk about Matt Boehner and his low-key MVP status of the year, how he has, and it's very low-key, kind of kept this team together defensively, and not a lot of people are talking about it. The other thing is I want to talk about Bitegate a little bit, and I will start with the Bitegate, I guess, is that, and I want to make it known that I work with a group of kids who have special needs, and I've been bit about 3 times this year, and I want to say that if you get bit like that on your face, which I have been bit this year like that, the reaction that I had or any human had is not the one that he had. So your initial reaction is to get your face away, and that is not exactly what he did. He pushed away, but your initial reaction is, as a human, is to get your face away from it. So that was the first thing that I wanted to say. And then I'll let you guys talk about the Matt Boehner thing.
Yeah, it's like touching a hot stove, right, Yursky? I mean, if you touch a hot stove, you yank your hand away as fast as possible. You feel pain, your body instantly. It's actually not to get technical, but I mean, basically, your body reacts
Fight or
before your
flight.
brain realizes what it's doing. So
It's that fight or flight, and
yep,
90% of humans have that flight. You don't get bit every day. And because of my training, I'm trained not to do that. But somebody like that does not have the training to do that. And a natural human response is to back away from that. And Bill, you were absolutely correct when you said that.
Yeah, but I'm going to move over now to your comments on Boehner, and I talked about it on the fan cam on YouTube after the game. How I thought Boehner was spot on Saturday night. He moved all around there on the back line. Every tackle he put in, he got right. I couldn't recall a time that he did anything wrong in that game. Every outlet pass out of the back was great. Every touch he had, I just thought he played a fantastic game. So I'm glad you brought that up, Yursky. Guys, what are your thoughts on Boehner?
I mean, he's been a stud. Man of the match this past week, and I think he's only getting better. Also, we need to make a note somehow to get Birding to get Yursky as a witness in this case versus Jibby in the USL offices. So get ready to go on a flight to Tampa, Yursky.
I'll be on my way. As long as it's comp flights, I will go as I get summer off. So if you need me to go, I'll go.
Yeah, good point about Boehner, though. He's been stout.
Yeah, he has been. Yursky, appreciate the call, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
You too. We've got phone lines open, 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. Give us a ring. Have your thoughts heard here on the program. They've got a game coming up, and you're going to be previewing that in your March to Match Day, Brian Weigel. They've got Bethlehem Steel, a team that they just recently lost to. Now they got some redemption. They're going to head back out to Bethlehem, though. Let's talk a little bit about that match. Are we going to see some of the same guys we saw a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I think you'll see predominantly a USL-based squad this week where even in this past weekend's match versus Orlando City, they ran out quite a few Philadelphia Union guys that were in the 18 that didn't necessarily play. The Union are going to play out in LA that Saturday, so I think you'll see a lot of the pace, the Sekukones, the Browns. I think you'll see a lot more of the younger guys this week, and that could be good or it could be bad. I think they've played better when they've had those USL guys in there versus the MLS guys. So we'll preview it this week with Ken. Ken's going to make a appearance on the podcast. So pretty excited to see what he might be able to come up with his scouting report.
You talking about Ken Hecker?
Yes,
our very own Ken Hecker. All right, making his debut on the podcast. Check it out. If you subscribe to our podcast, you'll automatically get March to Match Day downloaded to your device. So check it out. We're on iTunes, Google, anywhere you can find podcasts. That way you get access to March to Match Day. Brian does a really good job providing a scouting report for the upcoming opponent. One of the notes here, can we stop the long shot from midfield? It has been a bugaboo the last two games. They've got to do a better job of closing down. Well, the first goal in Tampa came off of a Delbridge turnover. I'm not sure who he was even trying to pass that ball to, but you kind of just tip your hat to Schaefer, who just had an amazing goal. Arguably, that might go as the goal of the year with the way things are going right now. But, they've got to get better. They've got to close down that space there in the midfield, not allow that long shot. But the other question we have is who's going to play up top and replace Gibby? There are a number of different guys that could do it. You could put Victor Mansere there. You could put Andy Craven there. You could put Andrew Wiedemann there. Who would you put?
Fordyce.
You'd put Fordyce there? I mean, you didn't hesitate.
Cummings.
No? Omar Cummings. I didn't.
Cummings.
That's another name I didn't even. Yeah. So, so you're going.
He was in the 18.
So you're going to go with Cummings, Bill?
I think right now, if I look at what Alan Koch has done as far as lineups and subs, he seems to bring Craven in at the end of games, so I might lean more towards Craven just as his next choice. But he might also look at him more as a really fast player that he brings in later in the game, so he might go more for Cummings. We saw him a little earlier getting some playing time, so yeah, I think right now I'd go Cummings.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Craven, though. He's my guy. I've really liked what he's offered off the bench the last few weeks. So I'd like to see him get a start and get some minutes for this team. Let's go back to the phones, the Kings Hammer hotline. Let's welcome in Jay to the program. Jay, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. What's on your mind, bud?
Well, I had two things I wanted to get your feedback on. One is the Delbridge turnovers. It seems like he's making some costly turnovers, and sometimes they're not costly, but they're still turnovers. He had one at the end of the game right in front of the goal that was just a miracle. It didn't turn into a goal. It seems like that's becoming a reoccurring thing with him. And then the other thing, and I'll let you guys comment on these, is I heard Quinn's comment after the game that Louisville was the best team they played, and wondered if he was just maybe being diplomatic towards his old club, because I thought Tampa Bay seemed like a better club to me just from observation, but not on the field. So just want to get some thoughts on that.
Yeah, some good observations there, Jay. Brian, let's start with you. I don't know. I thought Louisville was pretty good, but
yeah, I mean, I think personally, I would actually agree with the Louisville comment. I just think that they're top to bottom, I think, very complete. They're set up well. They might not have the best talent, but I think, they were tough to break down this week, and they controlled a fair amount of possession. Whereas I feel like if you take out the 15 minutes we lost Dakers out in that Tampa game, we really controlled most of that match.
What are your thoughts on Delbridge, though, Bri? Because Jay's right. He is giving the ball up quite a bit.
Let me pull some stats up here. He had 77 touches this week and 59 passes in the match versus Louisville. versus it. And then you had Austin Berry, who had 48 passes. He's being called on to do a lot more of the distribution forward, and he's got a lot of the longer passes. He's not completing the higher percentage of passes that he might have been earlier in the season. I think actually Austin Berry, I'm looking right now, had more passes versus Tampa Bay, but how many of those were forward versus how many were side to side? I mean, I just feel like we go to Delbridge a lot more in trying to get that ball up the field. So, yeah, I mean, he's never really been known as a true passer. I mean, I'd love to see the ball go out to Boehner, or maybe when Hoyt gets there to get out that way, but I don't want to say he's terrible. I mean, he's still getting about 80% of his passes completed.
But they are costly. I mean, the costly turnover led to the goal against Tampa Bay. And really, I mean, if you think about it, that turnover on Saturday night against Louisville, we were all right in front of the Bailey just gasping for air at that gaff.
I don't know. I put this on my show notes. Is would we have given up more goals if we were playing the smaller touches, in between the center backs and the midfielders this year versus last year? I mean, we've seen that area between the defensive midfielders and the center backs be exploited several times, especially in the preseason. So we still have only given up one goal in those two matches, and so I'm not jumping off a bridge just yet, because I just saw what we were doing earlier in the season.
Griff, what about you? Got any thoughts on this?
I think Brian's pretty accurate there in saying that Delbridge is called on a lot more. I just don't think I noticed the turnovers as much last year. I don't know if they occurred and I just didn't notice, but I just feel like his distribution has led to some goals. Was it the Charleston match where he should have cleared? Or I can't remember,
Bethlehem,
but
where he whiffed.
Bethlehem, yeah, that, and then obviously this past week. But maybe it is his increase in distribution. But I have noticed a little bit more this year.
Yeah, I just think I do agree that there has been errors on his part, but I mean, when he's been called on so much to do these things, you're going to have mistakes. But I mean, I just think what he gives us is a lot better than what he might hurt us.
Yeah, let's be honest here, though. I mean, how many goals has Delbridge saved in his time here in Cincinnati? So let's not be too harsh on him.
That's a good point.
And scored.
Yeah,
and scored. Yep. So let's not be too harsh on the Aussie.
I wonder what Ethan thinks.
All right, Jay, we appreciate the call. Don't be a stranger, buddy.
Yeah, good questions.
All right,
awesome.
Thanks.
That's Jay giving us a ring here on the King's Hammer Hotline as we begin to wrap things up here on episode 62 of the podcast. Again, make sure you check out March to Match Day. Brian will be having that posted a little bit later this week in our podcast feed, so make sure you go subscribe to our podcast for that. It's time, though, for the Growler Cup. I have, for some reason, turned into the Brian Weigel of the Growler Cup. I am just not feeling it this year.
No, you can't call that anymore. I mean, outright second, man.
It's still early, Brian.
I have just almost as many points this year than I had all last year. I think I'm like 1 point off.
I wouldn't brag about that, but
no, that's what I'm saying. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
Well, good. You can start off with the Growler Cup predictions. What are you going to go for this weekend?
I'm actually going to go 2-1 to the soccer ball kicking good guys. Actually, I don't know, man. I just feel like we are pissed. I think we're going to go out there hungry. I think we are a significantly better lined up team now than we were the first time we played them. I could be eating these words later on, but I just something out there, my heart. I don't know. I just feel we can get Dakers back out there, and then maybe if you can add a little bit more of that speed with any of those options that we were talking about earlier, I think you're going to see some fun play. 2-1.
All right. Who's next? Let's go with Bill Wolf.
If GB was in the lineup, I'd say 3-0. But I think that is going to affect our offense a little bit. But I still think we got a lot to prove to ourselves and to Bethlehem that was a fluke. That losing two people so quick and just suffering through that game. We're going to go out and just make a point, just like we did to St. Louis. We're going to make a point. And I'm thinking 2-0.
All right, Bill's going for a 2-0. How about you, Bri? I'm sorry, Griffin.
2-0. I think my prediction is Andy Craven's going to get the start up top. I loved the creativity he brought towards the end of the game against Louisville. Absolutely loved it. So I'm going to predict that Andy Craven gets a start up top. We're going to see some great chemistry. Kadeem's going to come back with a fire under him, so he's going to create some chances, and I'm going to go 2-0.
I'm going to go for a 2-1. FC Cincinnati getting the win over Bethlehem Steel. We did get this question via Facebook. Does Nico return to the starting lineup this week? Or it doesn't say starting lineup. It just does Nico return to the lineup. So I guess that could potentially mean maybe he's a bench player. I don't know if he'll start, but I would say he's probably in the 18. Would you guys all agree with that?
Absolutely, he's in the 18.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't be against him being in that defensive midfielder role. I wouldn't mind us having a little bit more cover in front of a team that is a bunch of burners. And I think if you can throw
and he just got burned there in Bethlehem not that long ago.
Well, as a center back, I'm talking about as a central midfielder. I think Quinn actually played very well. There were several tackles that Quinn did well, but I'm not sure he's the right guy to put into this game.
Yeah,
but I could see him if he would decide to go for to make sure we can at least get a point. I could see him throwing a defensive midfielder like a Nico in there.
Yeah, I was actually saying this on Facebook a little bit to some of the guys when they were chatting on this, but I think we lean towards Delbridge and Barry in the center just because of what they bring to the attack. You don't see Nico really going up, and he did score off a header last year, but it's not really his thing. I really like the way he plays. I love him on the field. I think he has great vision, and I'd love to see him getting more time out there. So I agree with you, Brian. I'd love to see him move back into his natural CDM position, center defensive midfield, and getting a little bit of time. I just like the way he sees things.
Don't yell at me. And I think I've told you this. I would love a Ross Tomaselli on this team, like some guy like him that knows his role, that can lock down. Yeah, he wasn't the most stout player, but somebody that knows that defensive role to sit in front of those center backs.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend in Bethlehem. Hopefully, FC Cincinnati can avenge that 2-0 loss that they suffered not that long ago up in Bethlehem. So, again,
I'm reading Facebook, Subs, and somebody just predicted 3-1 and a red card. Steven.
Oh, man.
3-1 to us winning?
Yeah, and a red card. Steven, that's just not cool, man. Not cool.
You think we'll get the red card, or does he think Bethlehem gets the red card?
Well, that would be okay, but I'm guessing he was joking around. He put an LOL at the end.
Gotcha. All right. So. Well, hopefully that's not right. That's our Growler Cup. Did you know you could still join the Growler Cup? And even if you're late to the party this year, you're automatically entered for next year's competition. So you might as well just go support our show, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. That'll get you access to our Growler Cup competition. All right, it's time to get out of here. Final thoughts. I'll start with the Wolfman, Bill Wolf.
Final thoughts. I think that's an easy one for me. Don't throw crap on the field.
Oh, man.
So, for anybody who was paying attention, we had a beer can thrown on the field. I understand that, it was an emotional moment, but just don't do it. It's not cool. We're not that team. We're not that city. We're better than that. The Bailey is going to throw you out if you do it. Don't do it from the Bailey for sure. We will hunt you down and send you out.
It happened Saturday night.
Yep.
I mean,
don't make Bill chase you with his drumsticks. You don't want
that.
Right. Good final thought, Bill, and I agree with you 100%. Because that, it could be that's dangerous. You don't know what could happen. It did happen. I leaned over and I saw Austin Berry pick it up and throw it off the field. And I didn't see it actually thrown. Yeah, he looked real happy. So, yeah, don't do that. But good final thought, and it was good to have you back, Bill.
I'm glad to be back.
Let's go to Griffin. Griffin, your final thoughts this week?
A lot of drama. Everybody's getting caught up in Bitegate and red cards. And, let's not forget that we have some great talent in Gary Hoyt. And I feel like he's been a little overshadowed with the poor news this week, but let's just all remember he's in the stall getting ready to go, getting his fitness ready, and I cannot wait to see him play on this squad. I think it's going to be a great addition, and hopefully it's soon.
Good stuff. And I like that you're wearing the K-Slick shirt, Griff. That was your design. You did a good job.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Jono. I saw he was wearing it. He posted a picture on Twitter. So, Jono, thanks for repping, man.
Yeah, I finally got mine this weekend. I was very happy about that, and it looks great. And I was so pumped to see so many people in the Bailey wearing it. That had to feel good, man.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. If anybody wants one, hit up Boston. I'm sure he's got about 75 of them in his backseat of his car. So
I can't tell you who, but 2 members of the FC Cincinnati coaching staff purchased some K-Slick shirts.
Nice.
Well, at least they weren't purple and scarves.
I was drunk.
I vividly remember we were setting up for the fan cams, and I saw you exchange the scarf, and I was like, "What is he doing?" But I couldn't stop it.
Yeah, it was the AO president, Tana Weingartner, came over, said hi, and she introduced this gentleman who's the AO president of Louisville, and they asked if I would exchange scarves. So if it was my Junetta scarf, no way. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it'll be back there for one show.
So your final thoughts tonight, Bri?
This Saturday after the FC Cincinnati match, so at 7:30, there's a special event going down at the XU Soccer Complex. It's Xavier Men's Soccer's Devon's game. Essentially, it's a fundraising game where proceeds from the match go to the Down Syndrome Awareness Classic. That is basically the Down Syndrome Association of Greater Cincinnati's annual buddy walk. The game, Devon's game, is named for XU Soccer head coach Andy Fleming's daughter, Devon, who's born with Down syndrome. And it's a big fundraiser for this cause. It's a great game. It's kind of their highlight, their end of their spring season. So if you have some time, go down to Xavier. I think they've always had pretty good crowds for this, and I think if FC Cincinnati fans should up, it could be even more special. Of course, it's a great cause. They're playing Bradley Saturday at 7:30.
Always a great game.
Good stuff, Bri. I'm glad to have you back. And I don't know, man. I'm still thinking the paint might have to happen. I know you're going to do your best to not make it happen, but
yeah, I was just gonna say my wife might kill you. If we gotta do it, we gotta do it before July, because I don't think a 9-month pregnant Lucy Weigel will be painting me up anytime soon.
Well, let me ask you this too. How did you feel last week when listening to the episode that it was revealed that you did not actually have to paint up? What was your emotions? I want to know, how did you react?
Well, I inflicted some pain on Yosef this weekend, so can
you
ask him about
what
it.
You did there?
Nope.
Hey, you didn't bite him, right?
No, it wasn't a bite, but he was hurting. So no, love it. I had a great time with it. People were great. People wanted pictures, so that was pretty cool.
And I want to say thank you again for taking my kids down to the front row of the Bailey. That's my final thought is the experience. Last year I sat in the Bailey, and it was a good time. And this year I took my kids into the Bailey. They're 8-year-old twins. And I thought, I don't know, I was a little apprehensive because obviously you're going to hear some things and see some things. But the first half, they couldn't really see because everybody stands on the benches, and they were really struggling with that. And Brian, you did a really nice thing. You took them down to the front row where they could actually see things. And my son and daughter were so pumped. We got in the car after the game, after we recorded the fan cams, and the first thing they did is they called Mom to say, Mom, when they scored a goal, I got beer spilled all over me. It was awesome.
and that might have been me. So I launched my beer up and back. So, yay.
They loved it, though. They thought it was so cool. And then I asked Ben after the game, on the fan cam, I said, hey, would you ever sit in the Bailey again? He said, I'd like to do it more. I'm like, I did not expect that. Allie, She's like, yeah, I'll sit in there one more time. I'm like, okay. But they had a good time, and I thought they were really excited to see, like, they were like, man, Dad, people know who you are. I'm like, I just do a show. I was like, I'm sorry, people were yelling Subs, and that's Ben's nickname as well, and he thought everybody was yelling for him. So it was a good time. Obviously, everybody treated him very nicely. Even the gentleman behind us was like, if we get too rowdy, man, just say the word. I was like, say whatever the F you want. I don't care. So it was a good time. But I wish it would have been better if they would have won. But again, I think you take a draw against Louisville at home. That Louisville team's a really good team, and you'll take. I was really happy with 5 points out of 9 against that 3-game schedule. So now they push on. The schedule seems to get a little easier for this team, and we'll see if they can climb up those Eastern Conference standings. All right, it's time to get out of here. Once again, thanks to Cincinnati Dutch Lions for sponsoring us this week. Again, for more information, log on to cdlfc.com. Our thanks to Rose Lavelle for joining us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk this week. We wish her nothing but the best of luck with the Boston Breakers and, of course, the U.S. Women's National Team. That's going to do it. Make sure you subscribe to Cincinnati Soccer Talk on iTunes. Find us on YouTube to see all our fan cams, cincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/YouTube. So for Bill Wolf, Griffin, and Brian Weigel, I'm Subs reminding you to watch your tackles, and we will catch up with you next week.